Shalom. This week, Parashat Ki Tisa, and the Tabernacle is becoming a reality. This is the third in the series of the Parshiot, beginning with Truma, Titzaveh, Ki Tisa, the third Torah portion in a row that is detailing the Tabernacle, later to become the Holy Temple. And this is so exciting. This is what we've been waiting for. Actually, more specifically, this is what God has been waiting for, the opportunity to be welcomed into the world, the opportunity to be with his people and with all of humanity all the time. And the tabernacle, which becomes the Holy Temple, is the portal to heaven. It is the instrument that enables the elevation of the whole world, that enables the physical in this world to be imbued with the spiritual, precisely because it essentially connects the physical world with its spiritual root. And there's this incredible cosmic paradigm shift that's going on through the establishment of the tabernacle. And I think that we feel that building the momentum through these three Torah portions, the details that are being given to us, the instructions. It's like the instructions of someone that's designing a dream house to live in with his spouse, you know, with his childhood love forever. Everything that we're reading here is Hashem's incredible excitement about being welcomed into the world and having a place on this earth. And the exquisite detail and the symbolism and the practicality of everything that's going on in the tabernacle is almost overwhelming as this program is getting underway. So in this week's Parsha Ki Tisa, we begin with the idea of the half-shekel census, which of course even that is used to purchase communal offerings in the Holy Temple. We talk about the laver, which is the first vessel that's used every day for the Kohanim to totally remove themselves and cleanse themselves of every preconceived notion and idea of yesterday, and to sanctify themselves to begin a new day of serving Hashem. Talk about the anointment oil, all these incredible details, the incense, getting the program together and upping the ante and revving it up another notch, getting the tabernacle ready for its completion. And then in the beginning of chapter 31 at Parashat Ki Tisa, we meet Betzalel and Oliav. And who are these men? How do we understand these men? Because they're just men. And they're human beings. Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, "See, I have called by the name Betzalel, son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. I have filled him with a godly spirit, with wisdom, insight, and knowledge, and with every craft, to weave designs, to work with gold, silver, and copper, stone cutting for setting and wood carving, to perform every craft." So where did Betzalel get this incredible variety of work skills? He was a jack of all trades. He knew how to do every sort of fine work. And this is being filled with a godly spirit, wisdom, insight, and knowledge, every craft. He has an assistant. And I, Hashem says, behold, I have assigned with him Aholiav, the son of Achisamach, of the tribe of Dan, and I have endowed the heart of every wise-hearted person with wisdom, and they shall make all that I have commanded you. So there's something that God is giving out here to Betzalel and to his assistant Oliav, and also to every person who is wise-hearted with wisdom. It's an endowment. Where do you line up to get that endowment? Hashem says, I have endowed the heart of every wise-hearted person to make all of these things that I've commanded you: the tent of meeting, the ark of the testimonial tablets, and the cover that is upon it, and all the utensils of the tent, the table and its utensils, the pure menorah and all its utensils, and the incense altar, the burnt offering altar, and all its utensils, the laver and its base, the knit vestments, the sacred vestments of Aaron, the Kohen, and the vestments of his sons to minister, the anointment oil, and the incense spices of the sanctuary. Like everything that I have commanded you, shall you make. Now these things, they're very physical. Hashem commanded them. And Hashem endowed this godly spirit and this wisdom, not only in the two main architects, but also in every wise-hearted person to somehow encapsule the vast, unknowable, incontainable cosmos into this very specific sacred space, so that there's some sort of alignment now. And this must be the meaning, one level, of what our sages tell us when they say that Bezalel knew how to arrange the letters by which were created heaven and earth, because the Mishkan is a parallel to heaven and earth. And it's all very physical, and yet it's what Hashem is commanding. Always struck me as being so stark, the contrast, how in this very same parsha, where we are introduced, as it were, here with these verses to Bezalel, knowing that these are people that are being endowed with this spirit that Hashem is commanding, and Hashem is directing this entire massive project with plans from Sinai, as we read several times in Parashat Truma, regarding the menorah, regarding the tabernacle, like everything that I show you in the mountain. Okay, these are Hashem's own plans that are being executed by these master craftsmen that are filled with the Spirit of God. Always struck me as very stark that in the same parsha we have the debacle of the golden calf. Also very physical. Also, I could say, wanting to judge people favorably, that this was some sort of attempt at some sort of portal, some sort of symbology, some sort of representation, some way to connect and to feel the presence of Hashem, albeit, and we have discussed this recently, we have seen so many warnings that Hashem made here in Exodus around the time of the revelation at Mount Sinai, and they're repeated in other places in the Torah. Don't forget that at Mount Sinai you saw no picture, you saw no image whatsoever, you saw nothing. And yet very quickly, after the Sinai revelation and the clear, lucid vision that the entire people had, that there is really no form, and that we can't see anything, but yet they saw the voice of Hashem. And then shortly after that, in the midst, again, there's issues about the chronology of the Torah. When was the commandment of the tabernacle given? Was it given before the sin of the golden calf? Was it given afterwards? But here, at least as we're reading simply in these verses, here in the midst, as it were, of our understanding that Hashem is commanding us to make a very physical place in this world that we can hook up with, and that we can come to a sacred space to identify with and understand that Hashem wants to have a presence in this world, but He's everywhere, but a place where we can focus and realize this intimate relationship that we have with Him. In the same place, in the same Torah portion, we have this incredible, disastrous mistake, this optical illusion, this misguided, contorted desire to make that connection in a totally unacceptable way. And that contrast between Bezalel and these instructions and the excitement of the program of Hashem's honeymoon program getting off into the world, and that contrasted to the horrible, stark reality of the practically irrevocable disaster that had such a devastating effect on the rest of time, the golden calf. How do we align those things in our minds? How do we understand the connection? How do we see the segue here between the greatness of these inspired men and their desire to make a place for Hashem in this world, and the total discombobulated, confused, contorted, horrific waste of life and energy and divine purpose? that came out, and I say that came out as the golden calf, because here again is something I want to understand. I've always wondered about it, in addition to the very contrast itself of this greatness, this beauty, the tabernacle, and then in the same parsha, this horrific mistake. Our sages say something very enigmatic, and we always discuss how we have to look between the lines and understand the hidden message in all of the statements that our sages make, because the beauty and the poetic vehicle and the power of Midrash is that we are dealing here with deep psychological and spiritual insights, and we have to explore and understand what our sages are trying to say. So here's something our sages mention I've always wondered about. They say, and it's based on the verse actually, they say that the golden calf actually just came out on its own, just emerged from the fire. And, you know, Aaron prepared the mixture as he was requested to do, or as he felt was the best thing to do under the circumstances, until Moshe came back. And he told Moshe, this just came out of the fire by itself. What are they really trying to tell us? What is the secret meaning of that idea that the golden calf just emerged from the fire? And I'm thinking to myself that this is the difference between the instructions that Hashem gave B'Tzalel and Eliyav and every wise-hearted person that he commanded, which were based on the God-filled spirit, which were based on, I have filled him with a godly spirit, with wisdom, insight, and knowledge in every craft. This is all coming from Hashem. Like everything that I have commanded you shall you make. So here, these are Hashem's instructions. This is how I want it to go down. This is my plan. This is how I want to be with you in the world. I have an idea. I have a pattern. Do it this way, like everything that I commanded you. And then, this other thing here, the twinner, the negative image, just came out by itself. What does that mean? And I want to compare it to the idea of serving Hashem in this world, avodat Hashem. And everything that we do, of course, is avodat Hashem. We all want to serve God with all our might. And this is the stuff of life. So whatever we're doing, whether we're studying Torah, doing the mitzvot, praying, or going about our livelihood with honesty and integrity and sincerity, or raising our families to be just and upright, everything that we do is a type of avodat Hashem. But there's times in our service of God where we get very excited, we get very inspired, and we become a little bit haphazard. Maybe we become a little bit too quick, and we skip stages, and we maybe jump ahead. And avodat Hashem, serving Hashem, and here let's talk about it in the spiritual sense of really a discipline of an exercise of how to come closer to God and how to become more cognizant of His presence in our lives all the time. That type of avodat Hashem, of serving God, has to be a system, has to be a program, has to go in stages. And what happens when we jump ahead and we bite off more than we can chew and we go too far is that we become totally diffused and scattered and not focused, because then it's already not about Hashem and what He commands, but it's more about like kind of what we need and what we want. I think this is the meaning of another very enigmatic idea that our sages express, and that is that the builders of the golden calf, well, you know, they had a pure motivation. They wanted to get close to Hashem, and they had seen an image. They had seen the divine chariot, and this is a mystical idea, and we're not going to cover it now at all. It's a very holy idea that there is a spiritual concept. Please, let's not make it physical. But they did see something. They saw the divine chariot, and the divine chariot, and they saw one of the faces on the divine chariot, the face of an ox, and that represents some spiritual aspect of Hashem's communication with the world. And they took that and they made it into something obscenely specific and physical. And the idea being that this was not in order. They were not up to understanding that divine chariot. And the totally spiritual, formless reality of the one true, boundless, and endless living God. And they got stuck on something, and they made it into something else altogether, something very physical. And that can happen in any context of our sincerest attempts to serve Hashem, that we become so obsessed with serving Him, but on our terms, that we jump ahead to something that we're completely not ready for, because He didn't command it, because it's not according to what He showed us in the mountain, because it's not according to the Spirit of God that He filled us with, and according to that wisdom that He gives to every wise-hearted person. And so I think the idea of that golden calf emerging from itself, from the molten fire, is an archetype. I think it's a symbol. I think it speaks to us in every generation. I think the idea is it's speaking about much more than just the incident, the untoward and horrific incidents of the golden calf. I think it's a principle that it's teaching us, this stark contrast between that whole scenario that irrevocably changed the face of the nation and time forever, from which we're still trying to gain lost ground, and the orderly, divine blueprint of Hashem's presence in this world being represented by the Tabernacle and later the Holy Temple, as He commanded, filled with His Spirit, a plan that is going according to its stages, its proper gradations, how it opens from one stage to a next, as we're reading about in these Parshat. And I think the lifetime lesson for all of us in this Parsha, just from the back-to-back of the grand, beautiful, life-giving, even divinely romantic plans of Hashem's plans to be with us through the Tabernacle, and the horrific interruption of the honeymoon through the mistaken identity, mistaken imagery of the golden calf, shows us that when serving Hashem, it has to be about Him, first and foremost, and not about us. And it has to be according to our level, and it has to be a progression that makes sense according to what He commanded. And then, like Bitzalel and Eliyav, and every wise-hearted person Hashem gave the ability to do this, then we will be able to progress and be able to serve Him and be able to make for Him a place, a home in this earth, by setting our sights on the goal and understanding our limitations and His desire for us to connect with Him. Following the program, following the plan, we can make up for lost time. We can fix the sin of the golden calf, and realizing that the true nature and challenge and goal of true avodat Hashem, serving Hashem in this world, is for us to be focused and realistic, and to move according to our ability and in the proper stages. And then we really merit to have that Spirit of God, that wisdom in every craft, and every wise-hearted person can get that and connect to Hashem and help to make this portal between heaven and earth.